In this video, I feature Irv Kalugdan. He's a board-certified music therapist, licensed music educator, musician, entrepreneur, and Grammy Award winner. Hey everybody, this is Eric Howe. Welcome to Mixed Major Teacher TV. And if you're new here and you're a music educator that's excited about learning music technology so that you can empower children with musical creativity, make sure you subscribe and ring the notification bell because I put out new videos on this channel every 2 weeks. And of course, if you get value out of this video, make sure you hit the like button and share it with your colleagues. I had the pleasure of visiting Irv Kalugdan at Mount Vernon High School in Alexandria, Virginia, meeting his students and really seeing the impact that he's made on the lives of his students and the community. In addition to using traditional music therapy techniques, Irv has been integrating music technology into his music therapy programs, and it's made a big impact on his students and his clients. My hope with this video is that people will learn how music technology can be combined with music therapy to create a deep and lasting impact on people of all ages. As well, my hope is that this video can inspire music therapists everywhere to integrate music technology into their programs. Hey everybody, this is Eric Howe. This is Mixed Major Teacher TV, and today I have the pleasure of introducing you to Irv Kalugdan here at Mount Vernon High School here in Alexandria. Thanks, Irv, for coming on the show and having me here in your classroom.
Absolutely welcome. Thanks for coming.
So Irv is the music therapist here at Mount Vernon High School, and Irv has been finding different ways and new and innovative ways to introduce music technology into his music therapy programs, and it's a pleasure to be here. I had a chance to meet with him and work with some of his students and meet his students, and it seems like you have a really good thing going on here.
Oh, thanks, man. We're trying. We have a wide variety of students here at the Mount Vernon High School, but our particular program specifically focuses on students with emotional disabilities and autism. And so it was interesting to have you here and to work with them and to interact with them. But at face value, a lot of times, these specific conditions, human conditions, you can't see, you can't tell. So it was nice to see the interaction you had with them, and also to be able to hear your feedback about, the fact that you couldn't even tell that there was something going on, But that's one of the reasons why we're here, is that, we're trying to work with these kids that are such an important part of our community and help them in any which way we can.
Let the audience get to know you a little bit better. So give us a little bit about your background in music education, music therapy, and then we could talk about your music technology.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started off as a music ed major over at Silliman University. Today is college day, so we all wear our college gear every Monday. While I was there, I got a chance to learn a little bit more about what music therapy was through the intro class, and I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the idea of using music to help address the different conditions that all of us experience throughout our lives, but then also to use it for the people that have these conditions every day, that can't escape, so to speak, themselves, and it's their normal, and so music has this amazing way of normalizing all the different things that we experience. And so when you take, in this case, students with emotional disabilities, their ability to use music in a way that we all do, to connect with their lives or the things that they're experiencing, but then to take that and also elicit change, to be the catalyst of change. So I kind of just adopted it, I should say, and I became a double major, music ed, music therapy, and then from that point on, I just never looked back. So recently, we've seen an uptick in music therapists moving into this area and staying in this area, which is great. And so we're able to connect with our community and provide music therapy services, as well as connect with art therapists and dance movement therapists, which is what Cadec Studio is about. It's about bringing in a multimodal but creative arts approach to working with not just clients with therapeutic goals, but also clients with educational goals. And then maybe they're not quite ready for that therapeutic or that, I'm now going to music therapy sort of approach or mindset, but instead they, maybe the parents are like, well, my child isn't quite ready, to step into a music therapy or any kind of therapeutic or clinical setting. So instead, they might bring us in to DJ their birthday party, and then we make that connection, that way. And then from there, it's like, oh, would you like to see Mr. Irv again? And maybe he can come and do some private lessons with you. And so it's worked out really, really well that way. I've had clients from elementary school, and I've seen them all the way to college, which is amazing.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Through Cadec Studio, and it's been a blessing to sort of have that type of relationship, not just with the clients, but also with the family members, and be sort of that life mentor almost, but through the music, which is an amazing connection. So,
and that's what you're doing, and that's what you're doing here. Well, with CATX, it's kind of three-pronged approach with dance, art, and visual arts, and music, and
right.
then here. Can you talk about your program here at Mount Vernon?
Yeah, so here at Mount Vernon, our class is actually called the Music Sampler elective. It's a fine arts elective that students can enroll in, and they can elect to take. However, a lot of times our individualized education plan team or IEP team, which all students with special ed needs have, the IEP team gives them choices, based off of whatever their current situation is. And so sometimes the students are locked in, so they're tossed into my class, whether they want to be in here or not. And so having to connect with students that want to be here as well as kids that sort of land in here is a part of what it is we're trying to do. So the music sampler class is geared towards a non-performing aspect of music, and instead just sort of exploring, creating with, and connecting with music in some way, shape, or form, or vice versa. Having the music connect to them, which is in many ways my direction. I look at music as a way to connect to the kids, create the rapport and the trust that we need to share musical experiences with the kids, and then for them to share with us. Our program here with Music Sampler is focused on a lot of preferred musical choices. So the students have to create a musical goal for themselves and a personal goal for themselves each quarter, and that's something that carries with them all the way throughout the quarter, and that we evaluate at the end of each quarter. But we do it with them, so they are gauging their progress and making adjustments and changes as necessary, so that way they reach their goals. And even if they don't necessarily get to that goal 100%, it's still okay. It's still part of their learning process, and we're able to look back using the data that we've collected from every day, using what we call our daily lesson log, like most music classes you have, or if you're taking private lessons, you have to keep track of your the times that you're rehearsing and things like that. So the students are involved, or they're invited to be invested in the process of learning. And so with that sort of structure, they know they're also improving on whether they're learning how to play the turntables, the drums, the piano, guitar, synthesizer, singing, even getting into songwriting and music production. And even if they're just interested in learning how to do sound reinforcement. Even though our class isn't a performance required course, we do offer 2 performances a year, and the students can elect to perform in them if they want to, and they can also elect not to.
What kind of performances are those? And
so they're sort of like a variety show. So it's whatever they would like to audition, and then as long as it's school appropriate, then and it fits within our time parameters, then they're welcome to perform. So they choose the pieces, we screen them to make sure they're okay, and then once they're in the program, then we rehearse with them to get them ready to get up on stage. So sometimes it's breakdancing, even, or pop and locking, to stand-up comedy, and then of course all kinds of music. Sometimes it's classical music, sometimes it's music theater, but the majority of the music is very pop oriented, hip hop, rock, R&B.
How many people participate? And this is all music therapy students?
Yes, all music therapy
So how many people
students.
would participate in this show?
So right now our program is at 25 students, and all the students are invited to participate, or I should say invited to perform. But about I'd say 75% of the students actually do get up on stage, so which is exciting. And then the other 25 are or other students that don't necessarily want to get up on stage they still play roles, behind the scenes. So whether they're in the production side, actually behind the scenes doing work, on stage, or if they're off the stage doing things like ushering or lighting, they're involved.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I was watching you work with some of the kids earlier today, and you were doing some music production work with a student there on Loop Labs.
Loop Labs, yes.
Loop Labs.
That student was here specifically for his International Baccalaureate or IB personal project, and so we were working on his passion project or personal project, which was to create a song, And so when we initially sat down to look at what that meant for him, so he wanted to create an EDM like techno track, and so we explored different avenues. We looked at I introduced him to Soundtrap. Of course, we looked at and downloaded Audacity to his computer. Here at Melbourne, we're actually a one-to-one school, so not all the schools in Fairfax are one-to-one yet, but it just so happens Mount Vernon is one of the first schools in the county to have gone one-to-one. Yeah. And so we've been familiar with this process of getting the kids the laptops and stuff, but not all the kids have access to software that we want them to because their computer can't download, or there's technical issues, whatever. But Loop Labs is great, Soundtrap is great because it's all browser based, so they don't actually have to download necessarily anything, so to speak.
And can you talk about like the rest of the kind of music, how you integrate the music tech in with your program?
Absolutely. So so a lot of times we will actually have a student on the drums, as well as a student on the turntables, whether they're on the controller or we've got the old school actual straight eights
back there. Yep.
Set up Philly battle style. And then we also have a couple keyboards set up. We've got a Moog and Ultranova back there, or Mini Nova rather, back there. So they'll literally will jam or will create musical, improv sessions and incorporate the turntables into the live music making experience. A lot of times we'll have one student just laying down a beat, and then I'll record and sample all of the students, maybe their names. One of the things we did at the beginning of the year was I'll sample everyone's names, and then I'll program each of their names onto one of the pads on the DDJ-SR, and then they'll take turns getting up there and just sort of rocking out and just rhythmically playing everyone's name, and they'll do some baby scratch, so I'll set up some preset sounds that they can scratch to on a separate track, as well as on the other track we'll have the other deck they'll have the names, and so that's an instrument using the turntables, and I'll teach some kids to just play some basic chord progressions or bass lines on another instrument. So it's a mixture of the actual music, playing on the instruments, as well as using the turntables, in live jam sessions.
And so what about music production? How are you integrating music production into your program?
Yeah, so lately we've been using a lot of Soundtrap. Fairfax, our county has granted the ability for us to log in using our county-wide Google platform for both students and faculty. So everything that they create, even though Soundtrap has this sort of collaborative feature to it, they can only collaborate with the people within our sandboxed Google community. But so right now we are working on teaching the kids how to create MIDI tracks. We just left a looping lesson. So they'll use the Soundtrap loop function to create songs, literally just by layering loops. And we'll be moving into a sampling unit where they'll be able to sample music through not just through maybe through tracks that we've already given them, determine like what tracks they'll use, but also sounds that they'll actually create. So they'll learn about different microphone techniques, different types of inputs, record into using a audio interface into their computers, and then be able to interact with that on their own, and enter that into their projects. In addition, we've actually started this has been our second annual film festival here at Mount Vernon. And so because it is a Virginia High School League club or team, all of the production work, from music to filming, everything, photography, videography, all of it has to be student driven. And so so some of the samples that we're going to be creating in this upcoming project will also be used in these films that students will be creating for this upcoming film festival competition. I'll teach them about the process, but I have to sort of step back and not be involved in the filmmaking portion because of the VHSL policies. But it'll be exciting to see where we can take that. We've also sent some of our sound bites to filmmakers. One of my friends that works out in Hollywood, he is a composer that has done work with Asylum. He's well known. I don't want to say best known, but he's well known for his work with Sharknado. So you may be familiar with that movie. Yeah. So he's I've recorded on some tracks for him, and I've sent him sound bites from our students as well. So it's a fun way to interact using the music production work that the students have done, not just with themselves, having them record things that they can then feel good about or be accountable to, in terms of their own personal goals and their own process for learning music, but also sharing it out with the community. We had a student who had learned that morning that his brother had to go into an intensive care unit and was flown to a specialty hospital somewhere up north in New England. So and that was it. So that morning that he said goodbye to his brother was the last time he was going to say goodbye to his brother for months. And he was pretty down, and you can imagine, what he felt like. And so right then and there, I just said, hey, let's record what you've been doing. Let's produce a nice sort of, track, to show your progress. And then we'll create a separate track on that same project of you just, making a dedication, talking to your brother and saying, hey, I just wanted to share with you where I'm at, and also let you know that I'm really thinking about you and I love you. We recorded it, and all within maybe like 7 minutes, and then he finished producing, and we exported the track as an MP3, and then he sent it right then and there. And when his family eventually ended up at the hospital, and they literally played it for him as he was being wheeled through
That's
the
amazing.
hospital. Yeah, it was really cool.
That's really great.
So so it's not just about the music production. It's not just about the music, but it's about what the music represents. And so that's the purpose actually of this class, is to get them to connect to the music, and connect to their world in ways that are more personal, that are meaningful, and go beyond just the content here. So some of our students here, actually pretty much all of our students, we try to encourage them to mainstream eventually, because this is a self-contained special ed program. We try to get them to mainstream out into something else, some other elective or course that content course that they really excel at. And we find that a lot of our students here in this program do want to get out there and explore more avenues within their own musical expression. And so sometimes that's piano, sometimes that's orchestra. And now we get to share with them this concept of music technology and where that can potentially take them. So we actually have a student right now who she came here, and just had a really hard time with attendance. It was just not something that she had a lot of medical issues, but other mental health concerns that prevented her from attending school regularly. Found her way into our music class after having had really negative music experiences, where the teachers were just very if you can't read music, then you can't be a musician. And while I appreciate and understand that, my direction from my education team here is to be the bridge between our education program here and students like her who might feel disenfranchised from, the academic experience period, and just stop coming to school. Now, not only is she getting ready to graduate this year, but she's attending school on a much more regular basis, despite her health concerns. And she's mainstream not just in one music class, but 2 music classes. And she's touring, she's performing, and on top of that, she has used FL Studio as a way to interact with people not just here in her community, but internationally. So she
produces her own music,
yeah,
and then will perform it as well.
Yes, yeah. So she started off just composing some songs here and there on FL Studio, based off of the music from Undertale. It was the video game. She created a musical. Slowly, just piece by piece, just started taking themes from the video game and interlacing it with a plot and her own lyrics, and uses Discord to interact with musicians from all around the world to contribute tracks that she can multi-layer into her projects in FL Studio, and she's hoping to release an Izzy Orchestral's adaptation of the Undertale theme in a musical format on YouTube. Really exciting stuff to see, and to see a student like that go from coming in just every once in a while to school, to all of a sudden being enrolled in a variety of music classes here at our school, and really dedicate herself to her studies beyond just the music program. So it's impressive to see individuals like her do what it is that they do with just a little bit of guidance and a little bit of facilitation, and just a whole lot of care and consideration. We have an annual turkey trot that we host every year. And so the Saturday before Thanksgiving every year, our students create a DJ playlist. They create a script to get everyone to, on your marks, get set, go, and then the students also learn songs that they play at the turkey trot to inspire and motivate the runners, and also congratulate them when they cross the finish line. Our students get to see that, and they get to see how their music that they are not just making, in the band, but also programming as a DJ. They get to see how their music, inspires and motivates the community in an event that is focused on wellness.
And how many people turn out for that?
We get somewhere between 150 to 350. So it's a decent sized community event.
That's a pretty big sized crowd for a young student.
Yes.
Regardless of whether or not you're in whatever program you're in. You know
right.
what I mean?
And then to have anxiety disorders or bipolar depression.
But they're fine. Just getting up there and DJing, no problem.
We're there to support them and help them, but yes, they're doing it, which is exciting.
And do they have fear going in? I mean, do they express anxiety, but then get over it somehow and then get past it?
There is a decent amount of concern on their part as to, what's going to happen. But as long as we're clear and we build it in such a way that, in their minds, build it in such a way that they can anticipate what's happening, and then also, more importantly, be comfortable within the community that we've built here. And all we're doing is we're taking it from this room and just putting it somewhere else. And after that, we have a larger event that has over 1,000 people, which is our school-wide pep rally. And our students will, again, they're supported by our SGA. Our SGA invites our students to come DJ the event. So they come and
more people.
Yeah. So you're talking over 1,000 people, screaming at the top of their lungs, and the majority of our students will actually not want to attend events like that. But through the music, we're able to get students, up there, sort of behind the scenes, but they're up there, with the rest of SGA and all the teams there, and the band that's playing. The teams are running through the balloon arches and stuff, and our students are up there playing the music, that's programmed to create that vibe of a pep rally, and it's sort of that safe place for them to be. They have purpose, and they're contributing to that, to the experience. But at the same time, they're not like right in the mix. They're not in the stands with the other thousands of their, classmates. Instead, they have their own safe space that revolves around the music, So that's another way that we use this music experience, the music technology, to connect to the greater, community that we're trying to foster here.
That's great. It's great to see all the support too from the administration to the students.
Yes.
And you've had to get support outside of the school as well.
And
You've written a lot of grants.
Yeah, we've had to do, because again, this program started from nothing. We literally, it took a while for us to just get funding for the piano, but we got a lot of community support. Teachers, our colleagues saw, the work that we were doing here, and literally just brought their checkbooks and donated their own hard-earned money to buying more instruments for the students. And it got me thinking, like, there are more places, that will support programs like us. The Washington Post used to have a grant called Arts and Education, and I applied, and it was for $50. And it just was like the most money I had ever gotten at the time, And we bought a boombox because we had students that wanted to break dance, And they came to me because I used to be a b-boy back in the day.
Whoa, hold on one second.
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Oh, yes.
So Mr. K used to pop lock, the shoulder. I have a bum shoulder from all the, dime drops. Now you have to stretch, but you can still do all the moves.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. Broken collarbone. Lots of fun things. Yeah.
Anyway, that's good.
Anyhow,
on a side note, Mr. K can throw down on the dance floor.
Well, we won that grant, and that really just inspired me to continue doing more. I literally, however, though, I can plaster an entire wall of the rejection letters that we got. But the few times that we did get support were huge, even from the one with Katharine Graham and the Washington Post. And so the Washington Post grant was great. We won a Grammy in...
that's amazing. How many people can say they won a Grammy?
That was several years in the making. Yeah, we got a huge, $5,500 check for the Grammy Signature Schools Enterprise Award. It's given specifically to programs that not just have a focus on music education, but also have sort of a need. So there has to be some sort of Title I designation. The local Grammy chapter came and they awarded us, which was huge. The kids were super excited. Prior to that, we had a relationship with the Grammys because I'm on a Grammy award-winning recording from my days in college, and so I had continued to.
What were you doing on the recording?
I was singing, so I was one of the singers, in our chorus, and we connected with the Washington chorus through our director, Robert Schaefer. And so he was our director as well as the director of the Washington Chorus, brought the Maryland Boys Choir and members of the National Symphony Orchestra together to perform the Benjamin Britten War Requiem. We performed and recorded it, and we won Best Choir Performance that year. It was 2000, I think. And so, through that relationship, I reached out to the Grammys. I just said, hey, I just wanted to say thank you. Here's a letter. And I had my students sort of write a letter of thanks, And at the time, our principal was also really good friends with was a sorority sister with with Wendy Cherry, the executive director at the local DC Grammy chapter. And so she reached out to me and literally just emailed me and said, hey, you guys want to meet Jason Mraz? And I was floored. I was just floored. But we ended up getting to go to that event and using our music therapy program to do lyric writing and also lyric analysis of Jason Mraz's music at the time. And we learned about his process for songwriting, music production, and sort of his time in the studio, as well as his time, in coffee shops and singing on the streets and busking and things like that, with him. So we got to actually sit down and talk with him. He performed for us at the DAR Constitution Hall, right before. Basically, it was this program they had called the Grammy Soundchecks. And so they invited us to several of those, as well as what they used to call the Grammy Career Day events, where they would have various Grammy award-winning and nominating artists and producers and engineers, even costume designers would be at these events. And literally, it would just be a full day of just careers in the arts, and all hosted by the Grammys. Our students, one of the few schools in Fairfax that were chosen to represent. And it's just such an amazing experience.
It's a really great accomplishment. So do you have any advice for any music educators or music therapists that want to bring this type of program or want to integrate music technology in their programs? Mm-hmm. What advice would you have for them? And even as far as the grant writing, what input can you give for
absolutely. Them? If they have a device in their hand, then they have a studio in their hand. You know what I mean? Like the phone, the tablet. If your school is not one-to-one, but the students have access to a computer at home, have them literally take a picture of their what they have at home, what rigs they have at home, and you can connect your lessons to what it is that they have in their own lives. You could potentially do things like Soundtrap, BandLab even, right? Loop Labs, all online browser-based digital audio workstations that are amazing, very powerful for what they have, and oftentimes free, So utilize them as much as you possibly can. Get to know the software, get to know not just what they can do, but how you can impart that to your students in meaningful ways. So that way, it's not just what they're creating, but what they're able to do with their creations. Take their creations and put them on in the morning news. Put them on. We have here like a warning bell system, and it's not a bell; it's music. So 30 seconds before the bell rings.
I heard that earlier today. It Takes Two by Rob.
Yes, exactly. And it changes every week. So every week
you'll share their music sometimes on that.
Yeah, absolutely. At the pep rallies, I'll play the students' original music at the pep rally. As people are walking into the pep rally, boom, hit play, and then they get to hear their
really
song.
Giving them a means to share their work with the world.
Yes, absolutely. It's more meaningful that way, And then taking that experience and sharing it out with others, and sharing out in ways that helps garner more support. Like, for example, winning your Grammy Award, or maybe you have a student whose family member, parent, works for a company who has a charitable giving program. That's how we were able to purchase this case of iPads that's right behind you, as well as our first launch pads. So we literally just wrote up about our program, what it is that we do, and what it is, what we would do with the money, and then the parent took that, and they have to do their own separate application, and we won a $7,000 grant from Van Meter, the first year, and then the second year
they build homes, correct?
Yeah, right, exactly. And that was specifically through their employee charitable giving program. So the mom that worked for, her son was in our program, and she went ahead and petitioned for us and won that. And then the second year, she was able to get $3,000. And so a total of $10,000 is huge.
It's amazing, and it's because you shared what you're doing here with potential advocates.
Exactly. So it's also about outreach, and so. Finding ways to utilize what we as musicians and artists do, which is, we're all entrepreneurs, when you're a musician, you're a business owner. It's you, what you create is your product, and so we have to learn how to then take that product, right, and then shop it out, right? And so not just teaching our students how to do that, but also do it ourselves, do it with our programs. I had to adapt to the changing environment, technologically as well. We went from not having any technology to all of a sudden one-to-one, So I purposefully put myself on our tech committee, and I also put myself in what we call our TOPS program, which is our basically like our teachers teaching other teachers about technology program, but specifically with special education. So I wish I knew more about technology, and so that's why I'm constantly seeking other avenues for learning about this technology. So if I need to take a day off to go get this professional development, there's money for that, and I seek that out in ways that allows me to have those types of resources as well as conversations with my administration. So I'll just set up a meeting and we'll just sit down and we'll just talk about it. This is what their goals are, and I'll try to match those goals and adapt to those goals. When we switched from being able to use Apple products to not having any support at all anymore in the county for Apple, I had to change.
So what you're doing is you're making yourself known that you're an advocate for this type of education, and then you'll be at top of mind.
Hopefully,
when it comes to
I like that,
trying to bring the program into schools.
Yeah, absolutely.
Irv and I have been collaborating on some ways to integrate the music technology further into music therapy, right, and how to get more music therapists involved in using music technology. So we will be presenting at the conference. What's the name of the conference again?
Mid-Atlantic Region American Music Therapy Association Conference. Yep.
March 9th?
March 9th at the Hyatt Regency in Reston, Virginia.
Awesome. So, and if anybody wanted to reach out to you and find out more about you.
Sure, yeah. Facebook at Cadec Studio or CATxStudio, or you can go to CATxStudio.com. If you want to reach us here at Mount Vernon High School, you just Google search fcps.edu, Mount Vernon High School.
Awesome. Great. Well, once again, this is Irv Kalugdan, music therapist here at Mount Vernon High School and owner of Cadec Studios. Thank you very much. My name is Eric Howe. This is Teacher TV, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you got some value out of it. If you did, please make sure to like this video and share it with your colleagues. And of course, comment below. Let me know what you thought. I'd love to hear your feedback. And of course, if you'd like to continue the conversation, please join me and the rest of the community over at the Mixed Major Teacher Connect Facebook group. This is a great community where music teachers, music technology educators, and now music therapists can come join the conversation, collaborate, and learn from one another. Once again, my name is Eric Howe. This is Mixed Major Teacher TV, and I'll see you next time.
Look deep inside and you'll find it's right.